What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. Happy Memorial Day. We're going to take a look at our top 10 games from Week 7 of the 2023 college football season. Been doing this on Mondays, going through the entire season week by week and just looking at the biggest games. We're going to start our predictions tomorrow. So team-by-team predictions will start tomorrow. The Georgia Bulldogs will be up first, so watch for that video. But back to Week 7. Pretty good week of college football. Some games that didn't make the cut: Ohio State at Purdue, Auburn, LSU, Florida, South Carolina, Louisville, Pitt. Those should be pretty good games, but they didn't quite make the list. I don't think Purdue's going to be very good, so I don't see Ohio State really having much of a problem with them. Auburn having to play at LSU makes that one to where I'm not thinking that's going to be too close. Florida, South Carolina is interesting, and Louisville, Pitt as well. But let's get into the top 10 now. We'll start with number 10, NC State at Duke. This is a game that's probably not going to determine who goes to the ACC championship or anything like that, but still a pretty big game in the conference. I know I've been saying this for a while now. I really believe Duke is going to be a good team this year. I don't think last season was a fluke. Same thing with Kansas. I believe both of those teams are going to be really solid teams this year. Duke has a really tough schedule though, but this is a game that I just find really intriguing. A battle where the winner could probably maybe get to the top 25. Again, it's not a huge game, but it is definitely a game that intrigues me and a game that I think will be really exciting, really close. And so I've got that one at number 10. Number 9, Arkansas at Alabama. This was an interesting game last year. Remember, Alabama looked like they were going to roll, and then Arkansas came back after Bryce Young got injured. It got interesting in Tuscaloosa. I don't know what's going to happen this year. I don't know what to make of Arkansas. I'm not totally on board with them being a top 25 team this year, but I do see some potential with some of the things like KJ Jefferson coming back. And I know they're going to be a well-coached team, so I'm just not sure what to make of Arkansas. But I tell you what, I don't think Alabama's going to really steamroll through anyone this year, besides maybe the cupcake games. I just don't think this Alabama team is going to be built to dominate like they have in the past as far as scoring a ton of points, throwing the ball. I think they're going to really rely on that run game, not going to score as many points this year. And so I just think that this is one of those games that could wind up being fairly close. But again, in Tuscaloosa, hard to pick against Alabama. Number 8, Miami at North Carolina. Big game in the ACC. Another game that maybe is not going to decide who goes to the ACC championship, or maybe it does. I mean, North Carolina has a really interesting path. They don't have to play Florida State. If they lose to Clemson, they could still get in, but they can't afford to lose to Miami. And Miami's a team that the more I look at their roster, the more I go through all of the offseason research that I do, I really am starting to come around on Miami. And I don't want to don't want to hype them up much, because we all know what happened last year with my pick for Miami, and that one obviously was a major flop. So I'm not gonna put them in my preseason top 25 or anything like that, but I do think that this will be a good team, and they could surprise. They could wind up being a top 25 team this year. So I think this will be an exciting matchup here. Another one in the ACC. Let's go to number 7 now. Kansas at Oklahoma State. Just talked about how Duke and Kansas, in my opinion, were going to be good teams. If Kansas gets by UCF the week before, they're probably going to be ranked at this point. Oklahoma State's the team that I've talked about is really being underrated, because you look at all those transfer portal losses, but they brought in guys as well. Mike Gundy's a great coach. I talked about this, I think, on one of the last few videos. So I really think this will be a big game, and a game where the winner could be propelled to, again, maybe moving up into the top 25. The loser probably not going to be a top 25 team. I just think this will be an exciting one in the Big 12. Number 6, we go to the Pac-12. UCLA at Oregon State. If there's a sleeper team in this conference, it's one of these two teams. We all know about the Big 4, USC, Utah, Oregon, Washington. But UCLA, Oregon State, I think, are not far behind those teams and could maybe push for a spot in the Pac-12 championship. You're going to have to win this game, though. This is a huge game for both of these teams. The loser's not going to go to the Pac-12 championship. I can pretty much guarantee that. But the winner might have a chance. So I really feel like this is a huge game in the conference race. Winner's probably going to be the top 25. Loser maybe not. So this is a huge one here at number 6. Number 5, Texas A&M at Tennessee. This is a tough one. You know, I don't know how good Texas A&M is going to be. I think they have potential to be a top 15, top 10 type team this year. I really do. but I think they also have potential to struggle once again like they did last year. Tennessee, I think they have potential to be a top 10 team again, and I think the bottom for Tennessee, I still think they're a top 25 team. So this is going to be a good Tennessee team. It really just depends on how good Texas A&M is as far as how big of a game this is. But I do think A&M is going to be pretty good. I think this will be a good game in the SEC cross-division matchup. Should be a good one here. And number 5, Texas A&M, Tennessee. Number 4, Kansas State at Texas Tech. This is a huge game in the Big 12. This Big 12 race is going to be really fun. You've got Texas, Oklahoma, TCU, and then Kansas State and Texas Tech. Those are the 5 teams that I think really have the best shot at winning the Big 12 this year. Don't count out some sleeper teams like UCF or Kansas, but I really think it's going to come down to those 5 teams. And so obviously, anytime those 5 teams go at it, it's going to be a big game, and I think this one will be. This is one where the loser might not make it, and this could be an elimination game in the Big 12. Again, when you've got that gauntlet, you got to play all these teams. You can't afford a loss like this. So this is going to be a big one, huge game in the Big 12, where the winner might go to the Big 12 championship, the loser might miss out. Number 3, Iowa at Wisconsin, another big game. This one's in the division, the Big 10 Western Division, and this one could decide potentially who wins that division. You're looking at Wisconsin as, in my opinion, the favorites, but Iowa has a lot of potential. This is a team that could be a top 25 team this year, so this is a huge one. I don't think Iowa wins the Big 10 West, though, unless they're able to go on the road and win this game. So I really think they're going to have to go on the road and beat Wisconsin if they have a chance to win the Big 10 West, but they could possibly do it. I think this is a huge game, and I'm not saying it's going to come down to these 2 teams necessarily. Minnesota's an interesting team in there, and there are other teams that have a chance, but this is probably the biggest game in that division, and it's at number 3. Number 2, USC at Notre Dame. Obviously a huge game, rivalry game. This one could have playoff implications. USC, they probably can't afford a loss here to Notre Dame. I don't know that USC is going to be able to run the table in the Pac-12. That conference is just going to be so tough. And so they really are going to have to find a way to go on the road and win this game. And I just think that's going to be tough. Notre Dame's a tough place to play. This is going to be a good Notre Dame team. Now that they've got Sam Hartman at quarterback, we could potentially see a shootout matchup with these 2 teams going at it. I think Notre Dame's going to be much improved from where they were last year just because of what they should have in the passing game and the improvements there. USC is going to be really good. I've had them in my top 5. I think that this is going to be a great matchup, and it's at number 2, but not at number 1, because number 1 is Oregon at Washington, a rivalry game. A lot of people will tell you that this is actually a bigger rivalry than Oregon State or Washington State. I've heard that from fans. I don't live up that way, so I can't really speak on it, but I have heard that. And it's not just a rivalry. It's not just a big game. It's a game with Pac-12 implications, playoff implications. I do believe that both of these teams are very real, very legitimate college football playoff contenders. And with no divisions in the Pac-12, these games, getting into that top 2 is going to be really tough. But even if there were divisions, this would be a division game. So this is just a huge game. I think the winner has a really good chance to get to the Pac-12 championship. I think the loser, it's going to be tough. Again, you've got USC, you've got Utah. Every game is going to mean so much in that conference. You talk about the Big 12 and Pac-12 conference races. Both of those are going to be really exciting to watch this year. Can't wait to see how that plays out. But yeah, our biggest game for Week 7, Oregon at Washington. Give us your thoughts down in the comments below.